Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope. And before I get into this video, which is the weekly wildcard draft for Game Week 12, let me just address why I've been sort of absent this week. I haven't made any videos so far this week, and that is basically down to me being sick, or having been sick, because now I'm actually doing better, thankfully. But I basically had like a throat infection of some sort, so I've been on antibiotics the last couple of days, and now it's actually a lot better. Through the weekend and like Monday and Tuesday, I was producing like way too much spit. And yeah, I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the details of how I've been sick, but at least I'm feeling a lot better now. I'm feeling very engaged, feeling very happy about life, basically in general, trying to revive this channel a little bit because it's been sort of on autopilot the last couple of weeks. I've been on vacation in Barcelona and stuff. It's kind of been like, I've been sort of phoning it in-ish. Just like done like the regular videos every week, but from now on, I'm going to try to make a super push just to make this channel like viable. Basically, I had this channel for about a year now. Started a year ago with my friends Kevin and Kimo. And yeah, I'm going to try to make more of an effort going forward and make basically 5 videos every week for you at least. Maybe do some live streaming and yeah, we'll see where we get. But if you're new to this channel, this is basically like my main segment every week. It is the weekly wildcard draft, which is pretty much like, I don't know, kind of unique to this channel. I know a lot of people are doing wildcard drafts every week now. A lot of content creators are doing that. But mine differs a little bit because I do it in the style of like an NBA or NFL type of draft where the number 1 pick is the most important player to have in the squad going forward in the FPL for the next 4 to 5 game weeks. And the 15th pick is sort of the player that I'm the most unsure about having in my squad. But I basically give you a squad of 15 players, the 15 players I deem to be the best players to have currently in Fantasy Premier League in terms of a squad structure, and yeah, we'll just see how it works out as we go along. But please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. We're pretty close to getting 1,000 subscribers, or at least some way there. And getting 1,000 subscribers and getting a bit more watch time hours per week or something is going to get me partnered on YouTube potentially. So that will be a huge boost to this channel as well. And yeah, if you enjoy the content, please do subscribe. If you're new or old, it doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, I'm going to try to step it up on this channel. But let's first show you what I have for you. And this week it is the weekly wildcard draft for Game Week 12. And yeah, the weekly wildcard draft, like I said, is me trying to draft the best team going forward in the next 4 to 5 game weeks and beyond in FPL. And let's just start with the number 1 pick, which is Mohamed Salah. I still think Mohamed Salah is the best player to own in FPL, even though he blanked against Luton. Kind of disappointing performance from Liverpool in general, but at the same time, they did create a lot of expected goals. Salah was, again, in his creator role, didn't really have that many chances. He had like 1 decent chance, I think. But yeah, Salah is still, for me, the FPL king. He is the main man to have. Still has really good fixtures. Brentford at home, it's like a tough-ish fixture. Brentford have been like sort of hard to beat lately, and they have had some good results in the past against the big teams, but I still think it's a good game. I still think it's probably the best captaincy option this week with Salah at home to Brentford. Next week, it's Man City. Game Week 13, which is after the international break as well. But, you know, Salah can score in any game week, really, against any team, pretty much. And then Fulham and Sheffield United, pretty easy matches, or like some of the easiest matches you can ask for. And Salah will once again be potentially the best captain's option in both of those game weeks as well. So I think Salah makes a lot of sense as the number 1 pick. Don't really have to say too much. Most of you guys have him in your squad already. And if you're wildcarding, I think you still should have him in your squad, clearly, because I have him number 1. Number 2, I have Heung-min Son, and I think he's also sort of like essential-ish this season, potentially even like further along than Salah as well. I've had Salah this whole season, and I'm pretty happy about that so far because he's been, I think, the highest scoring FPL player so far. But Son is not far behind because Son, after he got switched to playing a striker for Spurs, has been like a fantastic player in FPL in general. Really good underlying numbers. We know Son usually outperforms his underlying numbers as well. And Spurs are just ticking along nicely. The one issue with Spurs now is all the injuries and stuff piling on. Madison got injured last time. Van de Ven got injured last time as well. Some suspensions that are not going to affect Son long term because it is an international break, so they'll be back pretty soon as well. But yeah, Spurs, maybe the air is going out of the balloon a little bit because of that Chelsea result. But at the same time, Ange Postecoglou has shown that he can do a lot of nice things with Spurs. And I think even with like a weaker squad, he can still provide some goods, I think. And Son is going to be Son regardless. He's going to score the chances that he gets. Spurs will still get some chances. And yeah, I still think Son is a fantastic value pick. The next 4 opponents that he actually has pretty good records against as well, apart from actually Wolverhampton, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, I know people are kind of, I don't know, some people really take into consideration historical fixtures against those particular teams. Other people think it's just like, it doesn't really matter. It's just random who he scores against and doesn't. But yeah, for me, I take it sort of into account. So the fact that he hasn't had the best results against Wolves and the fact that they just now are trying to restructure the team after injuries, I don't think it's the best captaincy option this week. But especially against West Ham, I know as a West Ham fan that he usually scores against West Ham. I think that's a good game week for him to potentially be captain, but you also have Salah against Sheffield United. But even if you don't captain Son in either of these 4 game weeks or beyond, I think he's just a really good value pick, even at, 9.7 he is now. But yeah, I think Son is just a really good pick. He was priced at 12 million, I think, last season. So that should tell you something about how potentially his value could be. So he has just been severely underpriced this season. Spurs still look good to me. So yeah, Son is just basically a no-brainer pick at number 2 as well, I think. Number 3, we have Haaland, another one who is pretty much just a nailed-on player in FPL. And I think he's still really viable in FPL, even though the fixtures aren't the best, as you can see. Chelsea away, which is potentially like a tougher fixture. It's really hard to gauge Chelsea, I think. Like some games they lose 2-0 against, Brentford. Other games they beat Spurs 4-1. It's really hard to know, but I think City and Haaland can score against anyone, and that's the big thing about Haaland. Even though they have poor fixtures, he's still going to be a threat to score in any game. And as we saw against Man United, in like big games, he can show up even though there are, like, Man United is not the best team compared to especially Liverpool, Spurs, and Aston Villa so far this season. But at the same time, like I said, Haaland and City can score against anyone. So I think Haaland is still a player to have, player should have in your team most likely. Because if you're going without Haaland, you need to basically just maximize all your efforts. And I think going without Haaland is a viable strategy, but you have to be really lucky, I guess, and really good as well in picking players that are going to fill in the points that Haaland is going to surely get in the next 4 game weeks. But in terms of being a captaincy option, I don't really think he's the best captaincy option in any of these weeks, even in game week 13, which is going to be a pretty interesting game week for captaincy, if you ask me. But I think Haaland in general is still really a good pick, and especially if you're wildcarding now. Personally, I have my wildcard still, and I'm going to use it in game week 19. I don't think this is particularly a good game week to wildcard, but if your team is just completely terrible, if you have Van de Ven, Udogie, Madison, all these players, and you just need to wildcard, then sure, use the wildcard if you have to. But either way, what I was talking about is the fact that if you are using your wildcard this week, getting Haaland back is really cumbersome. So I think if you are using a wildcard and you can't use the wildcard again to get him back because you want to save that second wildcard for later on in the season, then it's going to be tough to get Haaland back in your squad. So that's why I think he should probably just be in your squad if you're wildcarding now. So regardless, he is a good player. He's going to score a lot of points. He is going to be potential captaincy option in some weeks, and he's really hard to get back if you sell him already. So yeah, I think you just keep Haaland on a wildcard or get him back on a wildcard if you are wildcarding this week. And that's why he's number 3, because he's still one of the best FPL players of all time, pretty much. He's going to be, I think, still. So yeah, Haaland number 3 makes a lot of sense to me. And that rhymes as well. Gabriel Magalhaes is number 4. I think he is the best defender to have currently. He is going to be nailed for Arsenal. The fact that he didn't play against Sheffield United was a real bummer for those of us that brought him in for that game week. But it also means that he is a vital, important player in this Arsenal team. I don't think he's going to be a threat for being rotated. I think it was just he was getting rested. They wanted to get Kivior some nice minutes for that game. And I think Gabriel is going to be perfectly fine to play the next few games. And looking at the games that Arsenal have, these are just fantastic fixtures. Burnley at home is probably the best fixture you can ask for. Maybe Burnley away might be even better, actually. But still, Brentford away is not the best fixture. But at the same time, Arsenal have shown that they have a really good defense so far this season. I think they can keep a clean sheet in that game as well. Wolves at home, another fantastic fixture. And then Luton away, even better fixture in terms of clean sheet, I think. So Gabriel is someone that can both score and he can defend and get clean sheets. He hasn't scored so far this season, and I'm still waiting for that moment. But I think Gabriel is pretty much a no-brainer, especially for his price, 4.7, because he went down in price. He was already a bargain at 5.0 as a starter for Arsenal. But after he started the season where he started on the bench for some reason, Arteta quickly realized that was wrong. Now he's looking a lot better, and Arsenal are looking a lot better defensively. So I think Gabriel is the defender to have probably for the rest of the season, in my mind, but especially for the next few fixtures. Arsenal have really good fixtures. I think Gabriel is a really, really, really good option. Number 5, we actually have Jarrod Bowen, who keeps climbing up the ranks. He was actually out of the weekly wildcard draft 2 weeks ago for me. Then he joined last week as the number 9 pick. And this week, he's the number 5 pick. And the biggest reason for that is that Burnley fixture in Game Week 13. Burnley away, like I said, might be the best fixture of all fixtures. And especially for Bowen, who scored in every single away game so far this season. I think this is the best captaincy option for Game Week 13. And that's why I think Bowen should be pretty high up on your list in terms of players you want to buy currently as well. So even if you're not on the wildcard, I still think Bowen is like one of the priority buys to get, especially for next week. Personally, in my own team, I don't have Bowen, but I am already planning on how to bring him in for Game Week 13 because I'm most likely going to bring him in and I'm most likely going to captain him against Burnley away. You do have Kudus for like a cheaper price, but knowing David Moyes, I know that new players, especially players that he doesn't really trust yet, it's going to be harder for them to get consistent playing time, and especially when he has players that he does trust in Souček, Ward-Prowse, Paqueta, Bowen, Antonio as well for some reason keeps playing as well, even though he's been terrible lately. I think Kudus is slightly more at risk for minutes, and Bowen is just, I think he's just more a consistent player in terms of both scoring when he plays and in terms of actually getting to play, because Kudus has scored some really nice goals lately. He is a fantastic player, but he has overperformed his underlying numbers as well. So I don't think he's not going to be that good going forward because Kudus is an amazing talent, probably too good for West Ham to be honest, but still, I think Bowen is also probably too good of a player for West Ham, but he's shown that he is loyal to the club and he's going to play 90 minutes every game, which is what you want really in an FPL pick, especially with these fixtures as well. Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace are decent defensive teams, but at the same time, West Ham tend to score in pretty much every game so far this season as well. So I think Bowen has a decent chance of scoring in those games as well. And then the Burnley away fixture in Game Week 13 is like the main selling point for Bowen and why he's number 5 on this list, because I think he's the best captaincy option that week, pretty much. Next up, we have our goalkeeper as number 6 pick, which is kind of unusual because I have been sort of like not so sure about the goalkeepers so far. And there's a reason for that because the goalkeepers have been pretty terrible so far. But there is one exception, and that is Sam Johnston, who's just been fantastic this whole season. Crystal Palace are just a really good defensive team. And looking at the next 4 fixtures as well, really good fixtures for Johnston. But even beyond that, I think I was really close. Like Johnston was like my second most favorite goalkeeper at the start of the season. Sadly, my favorite goalkeeper at the start of the season was Onana, which was a huge mistake. If I'd just gone with Johnston at the start of the season, I'd be so much better off at this point. But yeah, I think Johnston is just a really underrated goalkeeper in terms of both FPL and in real life, pretty much. He is really good for bonus points as well if Crystal Palace keep a clean sheet. And if they keep a clean sheet, Johnson is going to be pretty good for bonus because they don't really score that many goals either. Not that many other players that are viable for the bonus points. So Johnson is a bonus magnet. He gets some saves as well. He gets a lot of clean sheets still. Crystal Palace actually had the most clean sheets in the league, joint with a couple other teams, I think, with 5 clean sheets so far. And looking at the next 4 fixtures, you can definitely see some other clean sheets in the future for Johnston. So I'm pretty confident about Johnston going forward. He's only 4.6. Dean Henderson is out injured. He's chronically injured anyway. He seems to be out all the time. He's been out for the last few seasons with injuries mostly, Henderson. So I think Johnston is safe as the normal goalkeeper for Palace, and I think he's just safe for your FPL team for the foreseeable future as well. So number 6 pick, which is really high for a goalkeeper for this weekly wildcard draft segment that I do. But yeah, I just have a lot of faith in Johnston. You could go with someone like David Raya as well, but I don't really like having a goalkeeper from the big 6 teams because at some point you want to triple up on those players in terms of outfield players, especially with other Arsenal players that I'm going to talk about in this video as well. I don't really want to triple up with an Arsenal goalkeeper, especially when Gabriel is such a good pick in defense already. So yeah, I prefer Johnston. Areola has some good fixtures, but at the same time, West Ham just keep conceding every game. So yeah, I think Johnston is the best goalkeeper in the game so far and beyond as well, especially for the next 4 game weeks. So that's why he's the number 6 pick for me. Number 7, we have Jamal Lascelles, and he's going to play pretty much every game going forward for Newcastle. He's played in the last 5 games and has produced a lot of good numbers as well. So last time he got 9 points. He got 3 bonus points, joint with Trippier and Fabian Schär, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think Lascelles for his price, 4.0, you can't really beat that. That's why he's number 4, or number 7, I mean, on this list. Because he's super cheap, he plays for a really good defense. And looking at the next few fixtures, Chelsea and Man United are not the best offensive teams as well. So I think for the next 3 fixtures, he can keep several clean sheets. So yeah, for 3 million less than Trippier, I think he's definitely worth it. Trippier is definitely someone you could also have in your team. He's not in this team. I haven't had him in a wildcard draft so far this season. I haven't had it in my own squad so far this season, Trippier, which has cost me big time. But now it seems like Trippier is going to shift over to left back mostly, because Livramento is going to play right back, I think, with Burn out with injury for a long time. So I don't think Trippier's like bonus potential and assist potential is going to be as high as it's been previously. So I think Lascelles for 3 million less is definitely a viable option. And you could double up, like I said, but at the same time, the fixtures are decent, but they're not like super good. So yeah, I just prefer Lascelles only so far. But yeah, Trippier is also a viable option as well. But Lascelles, great fixtures, great price. He is the captain still, I think, for Newcastle as well. So yeah, he's going to play a lot of games going forward, especially with the injuries to Botman and Burn. So yeah, Lascelles is a pretty nice pick. I think Livramento is also someone interesting as well. I might give him a couple game weeks to like prove that he's going to be like a viable starter for Newcastle, but he looks amazing, Livramento. I think he is like one of the best right backs in the league, to be honest, but he plays behind the best right back in the league already in Trippier, so he's kind of in a tough position. But if he keeps playing for 4.3, I think Livramento is also another player you could potentially have either instead of Lascelles or on top of Lascelles. So I really like those players. Sorry about that. My throat is still a bit iffy. But anyway, let's move on to Matty Cash, who has been pretty disappointing, I'm not going to lie, so far this season. He had that one game week where he scored 2 goals, had 17 points, had like super high XG. And that's the big reason why people have said that like Cash has like super good XG, comparable to midfielders and stuff. It's mostly down to that one game. He is super attacking though, and he gets pretty much one good chance each game, it seems like. Last time he was offside, but he also missed it as well. But yeah, I think Cash has been really unlucky both in terms of not scoring and in terms of not getting clean sheets. He did get lucky with the clean sheet when he got subbed off, but I think Aston Villa in general are just conceding stupid goals from time to time. But especially the Fulham and Bournemouth fixture in the next 3 are looking really good. And then Spurs as well, don't really know how good they are going forward. Now, without all the players, obviously I have faith in Son still, but Aston Villa could keep a clean sheet in that game as well. But especially against Fulham and Bournemouth, I think Cash has some really decent chances of getting points. So yeah, hopefully those goals come from Cash, because so far it's been pretty lackluster for those that brought him in like game week 6, 7 or whatever, when most people brought him in. So yeah, I still have faith in Cash, but the faith is sort of dwindling a little bit, especially with the fixtures turning worse and worse now. He's going to get a couple more game weeks, but after the Bournemouth game, I still think I'm going to sell him, both in terms of my own FPL team and especially in the weekly wildcard draft. I'm probably not going to select him, but currently there are not that many good defenders either, so I think Cash is just like a safe option because he has really good underlying stats. He has goal chances, like chances to score pretty much every game. So yeah, I still think he's a great pick at number 8 for me this weekly wildcard draft. Number 9, I have an interesting player, someone that hasn't been talked about that much lately, but he was really talked about at the start of the season, and that is Taiwo. He scored in, I think he got points in like the first 5 game weeks this season. And then he got injured, and people have just forgotten about him. But I know a lot of people at the start of the season were thinking, when his fixtures turn nice, because Nottingham Forest's fixtures at the start of the season were really bad. When his fixtures turn nice, most people were looking to bring him in. And now looking at the fixtures, West Ham away, Brighton at home, Everton at home, Fulham away. 4 really good fixtures for Avani. I think he can score several goals. And for his price, 6.4, I think he is. That's really good value. So I think Avani is a really underrated striker signing or forward signing currently. So that's why I'm as number 9. He is just back from injuries. So that might put you off a little bit. He also didn't really create much in the game against Aston Villa where they won 2-0 as well. But at the same time, they took a pretty early lead against Aston Villa, which is a better team than them. So that means that they're not going to be bombing forward that much. So I think in these other games, I think Avani will have better chances to score than he had against Aston Villa. So yeah, I think Avani is just a really good pick. He was a really popular player at the start of the season, and I think he should be even more popular now because the fixtures are there for him to take. And Nottingham Forest did beat Aston Villa 2-0 as well. They have shown that they are a better team than most people give them credit for this season. They have a lot of underrated talents that they brought in as well, like Murillo, Dominguez in midfield and stuff. They have a lot of players that are not talked about that much, but are actually really good players. So Awoniyi is one of them last season, especially. Him and Gibbs White had like a huge connection towards the end of last season. And he just looked really, really, really good. And I think he's going to look really good in the next upcoming game weeks as well. So without that many good striker options, I think Awoniyi is probably the best one outside of Haaland. So I would go for Awoniyi if I was on a wildcard, and that's why he's number 9 in this weekly wildcard draft. Number 10, we have Bukayo Saka, and some people might have questions about this. Number 10, why is he so low? Look at his fixtures, look at who it is. Bukayo Saka, he's everyone's favorite player in the Premier League, it seems like. But yeah, it's just, I haven't been that impressed with Saka lately. Of course, he had to score a couple goals now, or score a goal and had an assist in the Champions League, but he also had to hobble off at the end of the game, as he usually does. So I'm kind of just fed up with Saka this season. I've had him for most of the season. He's been like consistently decent, but he's not been like the best either. I don't think he's the best captain's option because he doesn't really get those explosive returns that often. He's just like someone that ticks along really nicely. So I guess that's nice, but at the same time, he's pretty expensive, and there are some other good midfield options currently. So I'm a bit unsure about Saka, but especially with the injury worries as well, like the slight injury worries pretty much every week as well. But looking at the fixtures, looking at Arsenal being a really good team, despite struggling a bit creating stuff offensively, in general, I think Saka is a good pick still, but for the price, starting to get some doubts. So that's why I've dropped him down to number 10. I still think he is obviously a really good player to have. That's why I have him in the squad. But I do have some doubts. But Burnley at home is, like I've said a couple times now, might be the best potential fixtures to have. So he gets this game week to shine. And then he also has Wolves at home and Luton away as well. So it would be really tough to sell him. But I don't know. For my own team, I would not be too against selling Saka next game week when he plays Brentford away to get Bowen playing against Burnley and captaining Bowen for that game week. So yeah, Saka is still a fantastic pick. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm getting kind of tired of Saka this season, to be honest. But yeah, either way, Saka is still a good pick. I was kind of too negative on him because I still love Saka. He's still a fantastic player, still a fantastic person and all that. I really love Saka as well. But yeah, I'm just kind of getting frustrated with him in FPL. And it might also come from the fact that I captained him in game week 10 and he only got 5 points in a 5-0 win against Sheffield United. So maybe I'm a bit salty about that still. But yeah, Saka's still a great option. So yeah, definitely consider him for your team, whether you're wildcarding or not. Number 11, we have a player that I'm more impressed by lately, and that is Anthony Gordon. And the other thing with Gordon is the fact that both Isak and Wilson are out injured now, so it seems like Gordon is going to play as a striker against Bournemouth. He played as a striker when he scored against Arsenal as well, and he's just been super consistent. I think he's scored in every home game so far. So yeah, I think Gordon for 5.8, 5.9, 5.8 I think he is. Just fantastic value because he's going to play every game. Harvey Barnes is still injured for a long time. The strikers are injured a couple of times as well, and Gordon has played up front when those guys have been out. So yeah, Gordon has just been a consistent pick. He's just someone that can tick along. You don't really need to worry about him. Newcastle can beat any team like they showed against Arsenal. They beat them 1-0. They can beat Chelsea. They can beat Man United. They create chances as well. Just a really good team in general. So I think Gordon being like a key member for them for 5.8 for like one of the better sides in the league, I think he just makes a lot of sense as a pick. It's not like the sexiest pick. It's not like really like super fun with Gordon, like I guess still, but he is kind of an exciting player as well. So I don't know, from what I'm talking about now, especially coming after the Saka where I seemed really negative and now I'm super positive about Gordon. Maybe I should have Gordon higher up in the pecking order, to be honest, because yeah, I really like Gordon, especially for this game week. So it's definitely a transfer target for this game week if you don't wildcard. And if you are wildcarding, I think you should definitely have him in your thoughts. And yeah, if it doesn't work out against Bournemouth, you could easily just sell him. You have Palmer, for example, who's going to look pretty decent in that position. I don't have Palmer in the squad because he has 2 tough fixtures coming up against Newcastle and against, Man City, I think they play. Next, yeah, Man City, as you can see from Haaland's fixtures. So yeah, I don't think Palmer is like the best currently because of the tough fixtures, and also Christopher Nkunku is on his way back, and he is probably going to take a starting spot for Chelsea. He's going to take penalties for Chelsea, potentially free kicks for Chelsea as well. So Palmer is going to lose some of his value when Nkunku comes back. So that's why I'm not that high on Palmer. But yeah, if Palmer keeps his place and if he keeps penalties with Nkunku back still, he's still a great option. But Nkunku is the one that I'm really targeting. And that's why I also I like to have another striker next to Haaland, who I can upgrade or downgrade, or upgrade, I guess, to Nkunku if that chance comes along. So yeah, Nkunku is playing a lot of, playing a pretty big part in my thoughts for FPL currently, because he is a fantastic player, and he's also someone that's going under the radar, because most people don't know how good he is, because he is a top 10 player in the world on his day, or on his season pretty much. He could be one of the best players in the Premier League when he comes back from injury. I'm really hyped about Nkunku, but he's still out for until at least game week 13, so he's not in the weekly wildcard draft, but just figure I should mention him in terms of Palmer as well. But yeah, Nkunku is definitely someone to think about for the future as well. But yeah, Gordon, like I said, that's the player I'm talking about. I'm rambling a bit in this video, so that's something you have to get used to, I guess. But Gordon's still a really good pick, 5.8. Can't really go wrong with Gordon. So yeah, that's why I have him in the squad as the number 11 pick. Number 12, we have another really welcome addition, and it is Pervis Estupiñán. The fact that he's number 12 is kind of low for me when I have him in my weekly wildcard draft. If you know me, if you know my season so far, I've had so much faith in Estupiñán. And when he was going to prove everyone wrong, when everyone was going to sell him, I was going to keep him, and he was going to get a lot of points. And then he got injured, sadly. And as you've seen from Brighton, they've just been a much worse team without Estupiñán. But now that he's back, he might make me an even better pick as well. I think Brighton in general are going to get a huge boost from Estupiñán being back. It's just the fact that I'm not 100% sure he's going to play against Sheffield United, and then after that they don't have the best fixtures. So I'm not as high on Estupiñán as I would be previously in the season. But if he is fully fit, if he plays against Sheffield United, he's going to be a fantastic value, and he might get that huge haul already, which might make everyone buy him back again. So yeah, Estupiñán is one of my favorite players in FPL, and now that he's back fit again, most likely we'll see tonight in the Europa League if he plays a couple more minutes. But Estupiñán back, he is someone that is a contender to be back in my FPL team, and especially if I was wildcarding this week, I would definitely consider Estupiñán. So he comes in at number 12. You could go with Saliba here as well. That's who I originally had before the news of Estupiñán being back. But yeah, Saliba is just a bit more expensive than Gabriel. I don't like him quite as much as Gabriel in terms of getting goals as well, potentially. I think he's about as nailed as Gabriel, probably a bit more nailed, Saliba. But yeah, I don't want to lock out that third Arsenal spot as well, because Gabriel Jesus might be also another option. Or Martinelli as well, if Trossard keeps playing as a striker for Arsenal. Or Jesus keeps playing as a striker. I think Martinelli could be a viable option as well. So I don't want to lock in that third Arsenal spot into someone who's meh, I guess, in Saliba. So I prefer Estupiñán. He has a much higher ceiling, and I'm just really excited to see Estupiñán back in FPL and back in the league in general, because yeah, we missed him. Everyone, Brighton have missed him, FPL managers have missed him, the Premier League have missed him. So yeah, happy to see you back, Estupiñán. Hopefully you can be healthy and play as good as you have done for the past year, because you've been fantastic this past 365 days basically. So yeah, big ups to Estupiñán. He comes in at number 12. Number 13, we have another player that I'm pretty hyped about, and that is Jared Branthwaite. I've been super impressed with him this whole season. I was already impressed before the season, and I said that he's going to be the starter for Everton. Long term, he took the starting spot in game week 3 or something, I think, and Everton have looked a lot better since. They look pretty good defensively in general, and even though they don't have the best fixtures, Branthwaite is still only 4.0. He's someone you can easily bench, and it's also someone that I'm comfortable playing in pretty much any game as well, especially for the next 4. I think he can keep a clean sheet, and he can also potentially concede in all these games, but I think Everton are just an underrated team in general, and Branthwaite is an underrated player who's 4.0, so I think he's the best 4.0 pick alongside Lascelles, obviously, who's even higher up the list, because Newcastle are just a slightly better team than Everton and have slightly better fixtures as well. But Branthwaite is another bargain bin, really nice player for 4.0, so he's the number 13 pick. And yeah, basically the next few players are also just bargain bin players. Number 14, Cameron Archer, scored a really nice goal last game week. He has some good fixtures. He is 4.5. I've sort of been like up and down in terms of having him as like my bench option. I do like Lyle Foster for 5.0 as well in this price bracket, but he's 0.5 more expensive as well. So I think Archer, who's going to be on your bench mostly, I think is just a better pick to have, and someone who can step in hopefully for you when you need it. So hopefully some of you guys were lucky this game weekend had him as a substitute, because yeah, he scored what was it, 8 points, 9 points, and has looked really good in some fixtures. He has a lot of talent obviously, but he just plays for a really poor team. But that's why he's 4.5 as well. Not really, because he started in Aston Villa. That's why he's 4.5. But yeah, that's why he's still a viable option, because he is really cheap, even though he plays for a pretty poor team. But yeah, Archer is basically just like a bargain bin guy you can have on your bench, and who's also a viable starter if he needs to be. And finally, as a goalkeeper, we have Strakosha. We have moved on from Matt Turner, who is not the starting goalkeeper anymore for Nottingham Forest. So that means Strakosha is our best bet in terms of being a starting goalkeeper. Mark Flecken is out. He had a dead leg, I think, last game against West Ham. Got subbed off at the half. Strakosha came on and kept a clean sheet in the second half, and was part of the team that had a turnaround against West Ham where Brentford got the 3-2 win. So I think Strakosha, who was like one of the better goalkeepers in Serie A before he moved to the Premier League, especially with how Flecken has looked so far this season, I think Strakosha long term might become the starting goalkeeper for Brentford. So for 3.9, you basically just having to stash him on your bench behind Johnston. But if Strakosha starts playing, you have a fantastic rotation between Johnston and Strakosha as well for the entirety of the season, basically. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, if you have Johnston and Strakosha becomes the starting goalkeeper for Brentford. But yeah, Flecken in his own right might be, if he is the starting goalkeeper going forward, him and Johnston might be a good rotation pair as well, if you're up for that kind of thing. I know most people are not that happy about having like 4.5 rotation goalkeepers, but it seems like a lot of people are happy about having 4.5 and 4.0 rotation goalkeepers, as you saw at the start of the season when most people had Pickford and Turner. So yeah, Strakosha has both the price, the value 3.9, and the potential starting place for Brentford, where he would be a really nice pick, especially alongside Johnston. So yeah, I think Strakosha is still a decent pick, but of course, it's not someone who's essential, because he's just going to be on your bench most game weeks anyway. You don't really have to rely on him. So that's why he's number 15. But as you can see, Johnston, Strakosha, Estepinian, Gordon, Awani, and Archer. Those are 6 players that are new in this weekly wildcard draft from last week's team. That means that 6 players have dropped out as well. So let's take a look at who those players are. As you can see in red here, 2 Liverpool players. Chimikas, who I had super high hopes for last game week. He was my number 5th ranked player last game week, because it seemed like he was going to be nailed. He was on set pieces, he had really good fixtures, all the stuff you look for in a defender, and then he got dropped in this past game for Liverpool against Luton, which was really disappointing to see as someone who just brought him in and didn't bring him in the 2 game weeks prior when he had a clean sheet and played for Liverpool. But just the fact that he's like a rotation threat, it's just making me a lot less interested in Chimikas. I think like if he was nailed, he would play every game, because he doesn't need a rest. Unlike Gabriel, he doesn't need a rest. He hasn't played that many games so far this season. So the fact that he was dropped against Luton is just like a major Debbie Downer, I think, for me. I think that's the wrong use of that term, but either way, just a huge downer for me, the fact that he got dropped. So not that hyped about Chimikas at all, because you can't really trust when he's going to start or not, and he's also someone that comes on with 30 minutes left to play as well, which is something you don't want in your defenders, because you just want defenders to play either 60 plus or 0, because you want your backups to come in case they don't play, because yeah, playing 30 minutes is doing no good. Like we saw with Chimikas, he got 1 point, which to be fair saved me from having a -4 from Udogie, but that's not what's going to happen most game weeks. So yeah, Chimikas just really disappointed. He looked like a really good pick last week, and now just completely soured on him because he got rotated for Joe Gomez last game week. So yeah, he's dropped out. And the same sort of like transfers over to Darwin. I don't think Darwin has the best 2 upcoming fixtures anyway. Brentford is a tough-ish fixture. And then Man City away is obviously the toughest fixture you can get, and it's also after the international break when Darwin is most likely not going to play, because that's historically what's been happening with Darwin when he comes back from an international break. He doesn't play. So seeing as he's not going to play most likely in that game, he's also like more of a rotation threat now, I think, after seeing Chimikas being dropped. I'm just a bit more unsure about Liverpool in general. Just going to stick to Salah for now. And yeah, just dropped Darwin to get Awoniyi, who I think is a safer option for a cheaper price, basically. So Darwin has dropped out. Simon Adingra as well. Kind of disappointing the last few game weeks. I had high hopes for him because he's looked like a really good player. He could get boosted from Estepinian being back as well. So maybe Adingra is still a good pick. Mitoma is also another good pick. But I think Gordon is sort of... He's in between Adingra and Mitoma in terms of price. But I think he's just like a safer option at this point as well. Just gone with safety pretty much this game week after going with some like differential picks. As you can see, Foster, Adingra, Darwin and Chimikas. More like rotation risk players, I guess. So now I'm going a bit more safe this game week. And that's why I dropped Adingra for someone like Gordon, for example, as well. Areola, like I said, with Johnston, just have a lot more faith in Crystal Palace defense currently at the moment. So Areola drops out as well. It's only 0.3 difference in terms of price as well. So it's not that big of a difference. Lyle Foster, again, dropped in for Archer. Archer is cheaper. Archer is more fit this season. Foster has had some issues. He's had an illness now, I think, kind of like me. So yeah, he's dropped out as well. And Matt Turner obviously had to drop out because he dropped out of the Nottingham Forest team in general. He's not the starting goalkeeper anymore. So that's why all those players have dropped out. And that's pretty much it for this weekly Wildcard draft. This video was very long. I guess it's because I haven't talked to the camera in some time because I've been sick. But thankfully, I'm back healthy now. If that doesn't deserve a like, I don't know what does. So yeah, please drop a like on this video if you like that. If you like me being healthy, drop a like. I'm gonna really milk that fact that I was sick. But either way, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you enjoyed the weekly Wildcard draft. I hope you enjoyed this channel going forward as well. And like I said, I'm going to try and make a huge push in making this channel just better in all ways, and try to push for those 1,000 subscribers. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And that's pretty much it for this weekly Wildcard draft. I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.